Are you ready to find out how to actually scale yourself from the woman who actually wrote the book on how to do it? In this video, I'm going to dive through the 3-step formula that I've generated in the last almost decade of working remotely, working online, and growing my own business to exceed the last 5 years, and how to be able to scale yourself and your business. Right now, I am in the beautiful town of Shimoda here in Japan, and I'm traveling here in the next 2 weeks, teaching other people how to start working online. And while I'm doing all of this, my team in Cebu, Philippines is running everything. And because of that, I've been able to explore more things, do more things with the business versus if I was still doing everything on my own, basically where I was about 3-4 years ago as I was starting the business. So I'm going to go through a few of the mistakes that I want you to skip and basically how to be able to actually scale yourself and not just saying that I scaled myself. So first thing is, what does that mean? What does scale yourself mean? So it can mean different things for different people, but for this video, I mean it to where you are scaling yourself where you're not the only one doing everything within your business. That's why it's scale you and your business, because you are getting yourself out of running your business so you can actually grow your business. Now, the first step on that is focusing on the right things. So what I mean by that is, as entrepreneurs, as coaches, as business owners, whoever you are as you're watching this video, is that you have things on your to-do list that you probably aren't the one who's supposed to be doing that or accomplishing that. So the first step for this first step basically on focusing on the right things is you want to observe what you do have on your to-do list. What are the things that you're getting done and what are the things that you're probably not getting done as well? And going ahead, just keeping kind of a little bit of a diary or just a record of all of the things that you do get done in your business and the things that you want to get done in your business. This is basically what I like to call your nice to have list of what are the things that, again, they're just not getting done, you just can't get to it, but you know needs to get done in your business. Next is I want you to go ahead and create your 80-20 self-assessment. So this is something that I walk a lot of our own clients to in my business, where I assess in the things that they're doing in the day, what are the things that they actually know make them money, that make them the most results in the business, versus the things that are just kind of need to get done to keep running the business. So for example, for me, what that is creating content like this. This is still not going to be something that's replaceable from someone else in the company or replaceable by AI, because it's all kind of a decade worth of knowledge up in here. So that's my focus, and doing the calls with potential clients. It's something that I enjoy. It's something that gives my team essentially the roadmap on what to do after this client is onboarded. So those are my two things. The rest, invoicing, admin, social media, editing this video, everything else can be done by someone who is smarter than me within the business at that particular skill. So start ranking your tasks by one, how much results they make in your business, and how much you like doing it. Like, is it your specialty, something you like doing, is something you enjoy, versus the things that might not be bringing as much results in the business, like as much growth, but still needs to get done, and also might not be something that you enjoy. Those are basically 4 different categories. If it's something that you enjoy and give you the results, that's your 20%. That's the main thing that you should be focused on. If there's things that you might not be the expert, but needs to get done in the business, creates those results, these are things that you can start delegating. On the third path, basically anything that excites you, but you're not as good at and is kind of okay in giving you results in the business, you might want to automate and systematize. And finally, if it doesn't give you results or you're not the person to do it, maybe delete or assess what it's doing on your list. And finally, as you start going through that whole list, you want to start mapping out what kind of roles and responsibilities would you need to grow this business beyond yourself. Now, let's say you've never had a team member before. Out of your list, who should you hire based off of the amount of work that you're doing for different parts of your business? For example, for me, one of my first hires, aside from an assistant, an actual executive assistant for myself, was someone to manage the marketing, because I was doing so much in marketing just because I did enjoy it, but I probably shouldn't be the one doing it. So those were one of the first roles I even actually really hired. Recruitment was later, a manager was later in the business. After my first assistant, I basically hired then for someone to handle the marketing and the content of 2XU. So start writing out, as you grow your business, you basically become intentional of who you hire, and you're not just hiring out of necessity or because you're stressed out or you need an HR right now because something else happened in your business. I want you to be intentional about figuring out who you want in your business in the future based on the current list of tasks and the nice to haves basically that you have on your list. Next is building out your systems. This is basically the second stage. So the first stage, figuring out what are your tasks, what's your 80-20. Now it's building out your systems. So this starts with mapping out your business from start to finish. This basically can start off as your customer journey of basically mapping out how would people find you? How would you convert those people? How would they buy from you? How would you deliver your product or your service? And then how are you going to maintain that relationship afterwards in making sure that they feel loved and heard and they want to refer you to other people? So it's mapping out that whole thing, because then it makes it easier for you to do the next stage, which is going ahead and creating and building your systems and your assets and your templates. So from there, you're going to build your standard operating procedure. And again, it doesn't have to be you, it can be someone else in your team. But the point of this is you need to build the systems to be able to keep maintaining the same results over and over again. You don't want it where you get sick, you take a vacation or you take a break like I am right now, and things start falling apart within the business because nothing is written down. You don't have the systems on how to do certain things. So that's why it's really important that you build out your systems, especially as you identify what are those tasks and processes that you're not good at and what are the things that you want to focus on, and start building the systems around those. And finally, the last stage of this, I call this basically your Scale You formula, is having the right people. Now, I mentioned earlier that one of my very first hires for the business was my own assistant, because I needed someone to take things out of my head and get me out of overwhelm. And for this book, the Scale You book that's available on Amazon, one of the first things that it teaches is how to hire your first virtual assistant. And the biggest reason why a virtual assistant is your first hire is that, one, again, same as me, you need to get things out of your head. That doesn't have to be someone who's specialized on a role. So let's say you first hired a social media manager. You can't give your invoicing, your admin, your email, your calendar management to your social media manager, because they're supposed to just be focused on your social media. So as you are starting to hire and think about who should I have first on my team, an assistant is a perfect person to start with, because then you're, one, really like learning how to work with someone remotely if you've never done that before, and two, you are basically getting a person who just works with you. They're not focused on the business, they're focused on you as a person, so you can easily start scaling yourself. Next is to start hiring your managers. Now, depending on the kind of business that you have, you might need someone who is more of the manager for the clients or the customers. You might need someone who's a manager for the employees. Whatever that looks like, you need people who can help you lead people through or lead projects through actual completion. Because if you're still doing it yourself, you're not scaling, you're still stuck. You've hit that ceiling where you can't do things beyond the things that you're doing in the day-to-day. So as you already hopefully have your assistant, you want to start thinking of like, who's the next hire that would make sense for the business, that would take things off of my plate, that I'm not adding to my assistant's plate, and keeping in mind that it basically needs to be the next essential hire. So for example, for me, for 2XU, because we hire, train, and manage executive assistants, the first part of that is hire. So I needed to hire someone who was our recruitment specialist. Next is I needed to hire to manage those assistants basically that we hire for our clients. And basically we've kind of automated the training part just because that's a little bit easier, but that's basically how I kind of decided who our first hire was, and moving up basically from there. Now we have people who are managing our clients or people managing our books, all of that, but it started from me hiring my assistant and someone to help me on the recruitment side. So depending on what kind of business you have, you can comment below. I would love to basically help you kind of decide who your first hire should be. And finally, to be able to complete this is to start creating your employee journeys. Earlier, you created your client and customer journey. You want to create your employee journey as well. You want to be intentional about who you hire and how they can grow within your business, because 5-10 years from now, you're going to need it. So it's better to kind of start early as now and building that intention and building that foundation basically of you really keeping in mind of how your employees are going to interact with you, with the business, the culture, how to reward them, how to redirect them, whatever that looks like. You want to build out your employee journey as early as now. So then you are, again, that's one more thing out of your head. You're not thinking about it. You don't have to plan for it in the future. It's just out of your head. Now, scaling yourself doesn't have to be this big, complicated thing. It can be something that could be as simple as knowing what to do and what not to do, and then hiring someone to do the things that you definitely shouldn't be doing. And if you guys like this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button right there. Comment below any questions you might have when it comes to scaling yourself and your business. I would love to know. And if you still haven't yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of my videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home and how to have a business from home, which you guys can check out those two playlists right here and the latest video right here. Hope you guys have an amazing day, and with that, small steps matters, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!